This story is The Little Red Hen, and this is truly a vintage story, and it was the first story that my eldest daughter read for herself. The Little Red Hen. There once lived in a big barnyard a little red hen and her brood of fluffy chicks. She had for neighbours a fat little pig, and a duck and a goose. The fat little pig spent all of his time eating and sleeping, so every day he grew fatter and fatter. The duck and the goose liked to play in the water, and all day long they had a wonderful time swimming about in the barnyard pond. But the little red hen had very little time for play and for sleep. She had to work hard all the time taking care of her chicks and seeing to it that they got enough to eat. One day the little red hen found a few grains of wheat scattered about on the ground near the granary door. "Cluck, cluck!" called the little red hen, and all her little chicks came running. The duck and the goose came running too, thinking that the little red hen had found something to eat. But the pig, being so fat and lazy, just waddled up slowly. "Cluck, cluck!" said the little red hen. "Just see what I have found! Look at these grains of wheat!" Oh, is that all?" said the duck in disgust. "What are a few grains of wheat to get excited over? I could swallow them all and never know I had eaten them." "I could too," said the goose. "And I," grunted the fat little pig. "Oh yes," agreed the little red hen. "I know they are very few and very small, but we can plant them and they will grow and make many, many times as many grains as you see here, and then there will be enough for all of us, and after they are made into flour we can have bread and cake and other good things." But the duck and the goose and the fat little pig only looked at the grains of wheat on the ground and saw they were very, very few, hardly enough, they thought, to bother about. "Now who will help me plant this wheat?" asked the little red hen, as she started to pick up the grains of wheat one by one and put them in her apron. "Not I," quacked the duck. "Nor I," said the goose. "Nor I," grunted the fat little pig. "I will plant the wheat myself then," said the little red hen, and she hurried away to find a good place to plant the wheat grains. She finally found a place that suited her, and there she scratched and scratched away until at last she had made a wonderful bed for all the little grains of wheat. She planted them, every one, and covered them over nicely with fresh, clean earth. By that time it was evening, and the little red hen was very tired, but she was also very happy to know that she planted the wheat grains. The rain fell and the sun shone, and by the little grains of wheat sprouted and pushed their bright green blades up through the blanket of earth. The little red hen was very happy to see the little blades of wheat, and she sang as she led her chicks about. Under the bright sun, the tiny green blades soon grew tall, and after a while put on their bearded bonnets and began to droop their heavy heads. A little while longer they began to grow tired of their green garb and changed it into a golden hue. The little red hen had been keeping close watch on them as they grew, and when she saw them all dressed in their golden holiday clothes, she was very much pleased indeed. "The wheat is ripe, the wheat is ripe," she sang as she ran about the barnyard. "Now, who will help me cut it?" "Not I," said the duck. "Nor I," said the goose. "Nor I," grunted the fat little pig. "Then I will cut it myself," declared the little red hen, and she hurried to the barn for a sickle. She worked long and hard that day, cutting the golden wheat and stacking it in little cocks so that the sun would dry it out and loosen the grains in the ears. By the time she had finished it, it was evening, and the little red hen was very tired, but she was also happier than ever to know that all the wheat had been cut. But the wheat had to be threshed, and the little red hen thought that her neighbours surely would help her this time. "Who will help me thresh the wheat?" she called out one morning bright and early. "Not I," quacked the duck. "Nor I," said the goose. "Nor I," said the fat little pig. "Dear me. Then I guess I shall have to thresh it by myself," said the little red hen, and into the barn she ran to find a flail. With the flail she beat all the golden grains from the ears, and by the time the wheat was threshed and the chaff fanned away, it was evening. The little red hen was very tired after all the hard work of the day, but she was also very happy to see such a big lot of wheat. "Now," she said bright and early the next morning, "the wheat has been planted and cut and threshed, and a fine heavy load of it there is. Who will help me carry it to the mill?" "Not I," quacked the duck. "Nor I," honked the goose. "Nor I," grunted the fat little pig. "Well, in that case," said the little red hen, "I will carry it to the mill myself." And away she ran into the barn to get a sack to carry the wheat in. And she filled the sack with wheat, threw it over her back, and then away she went to the mill, stopping to rest every little bit along the way because the wheat was so heavy. When at last the little red hen came to the mill, there was the dusty miller himself, standing in the doorway. "Good day to you, Mr. Dusty Miller," said the little red hen. "And to you, good day, little red hen," said the dusty miller. "Why do you carry such a heavy load?" "It is wheat I bring to your mill, Mr. Dusty Miller," said the little red hen. "I planted it and reaped it and threshed it and fanned the chaff away, and now I bring it to you to have it ground into flour." And so the dusty miller lifted the big sack of wheat from the back of the little red hen and carried it into his mill. There he poured it into a big hopper and started the millstones turning. It wasn't very long before all the grains of wheat the little red hen had brought had been ground up by the dusty miller into soft white flour. Then indeed was the little red hen happy. "Thank you, Mr. Dusty Miller," she said. "The wheat I planted and reaped and threshed and carried to the mill is now soft white flour, and my little chicks will have fine bread and cake." And she picked up her sack of flour which the dusty miller had ground and hurried homeward. "Who will help me bake the bread?" she called when she had reached the barnyard once more. "Not I," quacked the duck. "Nor I," honked the goose. "Nor I," grunted the fat little pig. "Then I will bake it myself," said the little red hen, and she carried the sack of flour to her neat little house and began to make it into fine white bread. When at last the bread was baked and came out of the oven, the fine big loaves she set it carefully aside to cool and stepped out the door of her little house. "Cluck, cluck," she called, and all the little chicks came running. The duck and the goose came running too, thinking that she had something for them to eat. And the lazy little fat pig also came so fast he was all out of breath, for he had smelled the warm bread and his mouth watered for a taste of it. "The wheat I planted and reaped, threshed and carried to the mill," said the little red hen, "is baked into fine white bread. Now who will help me eat it?" "I will," quacked the duck, waddling close to the door. "I will too," loudly honked the hungry goose, stretching out her long neck. "And I," squeaked the fat little pig, very much awake at the thought of getting some of that fine fresh bread he'd smelled. "Ah, do you think so?" said the little red hen. "I planted the wheat, I reaped it, I threshed it, and I carried it to the mill. I made the bread and baked it, and now you would help me eat it? No, indeed. Workers work that workers may eat, and when lazy folks shirk, they must go hungry. Cluck, cluck, cluck." And she carried all her chicks into the house and shut the door tight. The duck and the goose and the little fat pig gazed hungrily through the windows as the little red hen and her chicks sat eating a fine supper of fresh bread and other good things, and they began to feel very sorrowful. Oh dear, quacked the duck. "Why did I not help the little red hen? Then I should have fine white bread for my supper too." "What a lazy dunce I have been," hissed the goose to herself. "I would work now. I must go hungry." "Oink, oink," grunted the fat little pig. "A little work, a little less sleep wouldn't have hurt me any. Why, oh, why didn't I help the little red hen?" But the little red hen, who had worked so hard, was happy, and she sang as she cut thick slices of the fresh bread and spread them with butter and jam for her chicks. The end.